I live outside of Philadelphia, but love to head into the city whenever possible. I'm a collector of old books and little knickknacks, so I spend a lot of my time in the old colonial part of town. And that's where I found it. In a little antique shop. It was a small wooden box with a worn red velvet cushioned interior. The owner of the shop didn't have much info, only that he'd picked it up at an estate sale somewhere up in Maine. As soon as I started admiring the intricate woodworking and the carved ancient battle scene on the top, the owner said, "I see you found the hand box." At first I misunderstood. I thought he said ham box, and I asked, did they used to keep dried meat in this thing? The shop owner laughed. He corrected me and said, no, it's the hand box. I think it's the name of the family that originally owned it in New England, but it's been bought and sold so many times over the last 150 years, that's really just a guess. At the estate sale where I bought it, one of the family's distant relatives was there. She told me she remembered playing as a young girl in the house and distinctly remembered her rich aunt tell her not to roughhouse near the hand box. It's very special, she said. I could tell it was old, and I liked it immediately. I made what I thought was a reasonable offer, and the owner sold it to me. It wasn't until I got home that I really got a good look at it in the light. The carving and the battle scene were even more impressive than I'd originally thought. But it was the inside that truly caught me off guard. Now, I'll admit, it might have been because the owner called it the hand box, but I swear, inside on the old, faded, crushed velvet interior, it looked like there was a handprint pressed into the cushioning. Not just pressed in, but almost like a person's hand had been placed inside and had slowly rotted over time. You could see the faint, moldering stain that seemed to outline the hand-shaped impression in the red velvet interior. Of course, I immediately realized I was just letting my imagination get the better of me. Obviously, nobody stored a severed human hand in a box. And as I went to bed that night, that's what I was telling myself. You see, I've been thinking about it all day. And now that nighttime was here, I was starting to feel a little frightened by that box that was now sitting on my fireplace mantel. And that's also probably what caused me to later have that nightmare. In it, I was in the middle of a dark forest, but I wasn't alone. There was someone else, or maybe a group of people, and they were after me. I found myself bolting through the misty woods. The ferns and other foliage grabbed at my legs as I passed, but no matter how fast I ran, I could hear my pursuers gaining. As I came over a rise, the uneven ground tripped me up. I came down hard on the damp forest floor. And as I rose to my knees, I saw him. He looked like an old medieval knight. He was wearing leather armor. In his hands was a deadly sword. He moved on me quickly. As I brought my hand up to protect myself, he brought the blade down. I watched as it cut through my wrist, severing my hand, and then continued to come straight at my face. The impact woke me immediately. I jolted from bed, my heart pounding. I clutched my hand to my chest. I've had nightmares before. Everybody does. but this one kept me awake for the rest of the night. And I know it was just because of the box and the story surrounding it that I even had this nightmare. But for the rest of the night, my hand and wrist just throbbed with pain. I watched as the inky night slowly turned to dawn. The shadows in my room slowly gave way to rays of light coming through the window. As I pulled myself from bed and made my way downstairs to make some coffee, that's when I realized something wasn't right. Now, I believe that letting my imagination get the best of me is why I thought there was a rotten handprint in the box. And hearing that the box was referred to as the hand box probably added to the dark fantasies that led to that horrible nightmare. But what I can't explain, and what still frightens me to this day, is that when I went downstairs and looked at my fireplace mantel, the box that I had carefully and mindfully closed the night before was open. That was the last night that box spent in my house. I sold it back to the shop owner from whom I bought it. And as I was leaving the shop, I told him, I don't think that box was ever owned by a family with the last name of Hand.